let's go to another topic now, though, because there was something of an international national freak-out about vapes, particularly disposable vapes, and how dangerous they might be, and the terrible thing that young people were vaping. Instead of smokers giving up smoking by vaping, there were people who'd never smoked who were vaping, and God forbid they were leaving their disposable vapes on the ground. That became a litter problem. So the solution from the government was, last government, of course, was to basically ban disposable vapes. So what's been the result of that? Well, let's talk about this with Communications Officer at the Institute for Economic Affairs. That's the free market think tank, Reem Abraham. Very good morning to you, Reem.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you for joining us. Now, presumably the idea of getting rid of disposable vapes, which are often bought by younger people, that would put them off vaping. A new study by University College London hasn't quite found that, has it?
No, it hasn't. What's really interesting, I think, is the government's insistence the solution to all problems is to ban things. Now, the legislation itself was already a pretty poor basis. The idea that because some people that are already banned from buying a product manage to get their hands on it means that we should ban it for everyone is absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
I mean, there are double the number of 11 to 15-year-olds that drink alcohol regularly than vape regularly. This is data according to ASH, Action on Smoking and Health. And yet, nobody seriously considers banning alcohol for absolutely everyone just because some under 18s get
Reem,
it.
do not give them ideas. Do not give them ideas. That's next on the list.
But perhaps it will be. I mean, this is the politics of the nanny state. Yeah. And yet, all of the evidence suggests that vaping is hugely safer than smoking. Yeah. Millions of adults across the country are able to quit smoking as a result of vaping products. Now, you might ask, well, what is the problem? You know, you can still use liquid vapes with refillable coils. You can still use those physical vapes, but disposable vapes are so easy to use. They're so much cheaper, at least immediately. You can buy them in the shops for about £6 to £8 very easily. If you are a smoker, it's going to be much easier to spend that £6 to £8 than it is to spend £40 on a proper refillable.
Yeah, it's a good way of getting people into. But this is the key thing, because look, I wish people didn't vape. I wish people didn't smoke. Smoking is bad for you. They are cancer sticks. If they were introduced on the market right now, they wouldn't be allowed because they kill people. However, they've been legal for many, many years, and I think people should have a choice of whether or not they can buy a legal product or not once they're 18. I don't know. I don't want to have it imposed on me. I'm quite happy to have bans. I used to sit in offices at 6 a.m. with people smoking all around me on planes, on trains. I'm old enough to remember that. It's madness to think that went on. However, vaping has been, more than anything else, the biggest single game changer in terms of actually getting people I know who've been 40-a-day smokers able to give up smoking for the first time. A big change. But the concern was that a lot of young people, particularly young teenagers, were getting hold of vapes. But again, all we needed to do there was massive fines, surely, for the shops that blatantly on every high street have these brightly coloured vapes. If you enforce the law that we actually have, you might, take people's licences away, close them down, 50 grand fines for every vape they sell to an underage person they haven't checked the ID of. You could sort that out, but you said they went for the ban. But what is interesting is we had seen a massive change in the attitude in the authorities in this country about vaping, because we were one of the few countries that was quite sane about it, which is
we were.
They're not safe, but they're damn sight safer than cigarettes. So that's welcome. But now they seem to change their tune.
Exactly. So that's been the case with all of the research that we've seen over the last few years. Public Health England, Cancer Research UK, all of these studies that have basically shown that because we don't have the products of combustion that you get with combustible cigarettes, vaping is significantly miles away more safer than smoking. It's not completely safe. We've got to be very clear about that. But it is more than 95% less harmful than smoking.
Which is a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a no-brainer to encourage people to vape, not to smoke.
Exactly. It's a technological advancement. That's brilliant. Now, of course, we don't want teenagers or young people getting into vaping immediately. But of course, as we know with smoking rates, I mean, the graph literally goes like this. As smoking rates have gone down, vaping rates have increased. But that is ultimately a good thing because people's health are being protected. But I think the fundamental point here, Julia, is that adults should absolutely be allowed to do what they want with their own bodies. They should be allowed to choose their own health, and they shouldn't be dictated dictated by an authoritarian dictatorial state that is consistent in attempting to control people's lives. And I think that is really the fundamental point here. It is about the liberty to choose.
Yeah.
If we live in a free society, adults over 18s should be allowed to do what they want with their own bodies.
Yeah.
And if they want to smoke, they should be allowed to smoke. If they want to vape, they should be allowed to vape. Crucially here, there is also the public health argument that it is in the public health's interest, it is in public health interest to allow adults to quit smoking and choose vaping. And this government and the last are attempting to completely eradicate that.
I mean, going back on the insanity, and again, so much of it is not reason based. It's just I don't like smoking. Now I hate smoking. I hate being around it. I hate the smell of it. I hate getting in the lift in this building and someone's had a cigarette 5 minutes ago and I can smell it straight away. But if they're a legal product, should be allowed to buy them. Of course, in a few years' time, people won't be allowed to if they reach 18. But then we're going to be battling that. I don't think that law will stand up to much scrutiny for very long. Reem Ibrahim, really good to talk to you. She's at the Institute for Economic Affairs. Now, Claire Pearsall's still with me. It was the last Conservative government that brought this in, along with, I mean, again, the law never actually got passed by Rishi Sunak of the ban on cigarettes. Basically, once you reach 18 in a few years' time, you'll never be allowed to legally buy a cigarette. That two-tier for adults we're going to have. I don't think that law is going to survive, but that's eventually brought in by Labour. But again, we used to be quite sane on vaping. I mean, again, we've both got teenagers. I would rather they didn't do any of this stuff. We know that teenagers do a lot of this stuff. I would rather, on balance, would you rather your kids smoked cannabis or tried heroin? I'll choose cannabis, please. I'd rather it wasn't cannabis. On balance, cigarettes or vaping? I choose vaping. It's not complicated.
No, it really isn't. And what do we know when dealing with teenagers and young people? The minute you say you can't have something, we're banning it, it makes it ever more attractive to them. So this is governments don't understand.
We should ban broccoli and spinach.
This is it, and there'll be the black market in that, isn't there?
Ban doing homework.
I mean, just these are people that have never come across children when they're looking at what policies to bring in. It's pathetic.
Their obsession was, I remember the whole big thing, it was a very big issue around my way, in Primrose Hill in North London, where all these people live. And it was a really big thing about all these little plastic vapes everywhere and how terrible it was, and young people buying them. It's like, well, I mean, you just simply, it's litter. So your problem is litter. Well, it's illegal to litter. So start fining people for littering. It's illegal to sell these to teenagers, to under 18s. Well, start fining people. You seriously, if every local shop, their little lineup of their pink and orange and green little vapes, you just send people in constantly who pretending to be, obviously fake ID or no ID, buying this stuff. You fine those shops 50 grand a time. They'll stop doing it.
It's not difficult.
You can. We always, your last government that you worked in and this Labour government, if in doubt, bring in a new law. No one ever just actually enforces the laws we already have, the ones we've actually already agreed to. It is mind-blowingly frustrating.